Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kilowatt, a podcast about electric vehicles, renewable energy, autonomous driving, and much, much more. My name is Bodhi, and I am your host. And on today's episode, we are going to cover some news. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to jump into our first story. When I had the full self-driving demo on my car, one of the features I love the most, and you probably already know what I'm going to say because I've talked about it a bunch, is I loved the self-parking feature. If you don't know, you drive through a parking lot, the car, shows all of the potential places that you could park. When you're ready, you hit one of those spots that you can park in, and the car will back into that spot for you. It's a great feature, and it works really well. But what happens when the car hits something, or if the car hits something while it's in self-parking mode? At the moment, Tesla will not cover your repair, and, it remains to be seen if they ever will. But BYD, Build Your Dreams, has a similar feature that they're calling Level 4 Smart Parking, and we'll get into that in just a second here. But BYD says that if you get into a fender bender while using the Level 4 Smart Parking, BYD will pay for your damages. Now, the I think this is great, but the problem I have with this is the Level 4 Smart Parking part of it. Um, this would First of all, Level 4 Smart Parking is not a thing. Level 4 driving is a thing, but Level 4 Smart Parking, it feels more marketing. But just by calling it Level 4, that means that you can kinda check out and daydream while the car is doing the parking. And maybe that's true. Likely you should probably still be paying attention. But in any case, BYD says if the service is enabled or the feature is enabled and you hit something, don't contact your insurance, just contact BYD and they will take care of it. But that's only for smart parking. BYD does have some other autonomous driving features, and it's called like God's Eye, or something like that. BYD's offered to pay for any damages only for the parking part. So if you're traveling down the highway in God's Eye mode, or whatever the service is called, their autonomous driving mode, and you accidentally, or something happens and you get into an accident, they will not cover the damage in that case, only when you're parking. Hyundai unmasked their latest multi-purpose vehicle, or minivan, the Staria EV. So they have a Staria minivan in Korea, and I'm sure other parts of Asia as well. That is a gasoline version, and the EV version looks very similar with some subtle changes to the gas version, or from the gas version. But the reason why they call it a multi-purpose vehicle is because you can configure it as a cargo van, a passenger van, or a camper van, which I think is really cool. The the Starry EV was actually photographed without camouflage near Hyundai's R&D center in Korea, and I want more minivan EVs. I've talked about this many times because my wife and I are in the market for a new van. I don't love the way this looks in some pictures. In other pictures, I think it looks pretty neat. But in in the pictures that I saw in this article, I was like, "Ugh." But I don't have any other choice in terms of minivans. So if Hyundai's the first one that comes out with a fully electric minivan and it comes here to the US, it's definitely something we got to look at. But here's what we know about the Staria EV to this point. It'll be released released later this year. Here's what we think we know, but we're not 100% sure. It's going to come in two battery pack configurations, 76 kilowatt hours, which gets you 350 kilometers or 217 miles of range. And then it will come in a bigger 84 kilowatt hour battery pack, which will get you 400 kilometers or 249 miles of range, which is also not great. But if the price is right, maybe it's okay. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on this and report back as we get more information. I talk a lot about the Chevy Equinox EV, and very little about the Chevy Blazer EV. In April, the Chevy Blazer EV was actually the sixth best-selling EV in the US, and that number might actually include North America. I'm not 100% sure. The article didn't stipulate. It's definitely not the sixth best-selling EV in the world. Um, but it's doing okay. It's not blowing up by any means, but it's also not a dud. Like, if you're looking at getting an EV in the $45,000 price range, it's definitely worth taking a look at. Now, Chevy just announced the 2026 models, so here's what we know. The 2026 models will be available in front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive configurations, and there's gonna be a performance trim as well. This year, there will be no rear-wheel drive for the Chevy Blazer EV. Now, in terms of starting prices, the LT front-wheel drive is gonna start just under $45,000 and will have a range of 312 miles, which is pretty good when you compare that to the starting price of, like, an Ioniq 5, which has a little bit less range. The RS front-wheel drive, the mid-range trim here, or mid-trim, will start a little over $50,000 and will also have a range of 312 miles. And then we come to the SS, and if you're not familiar with Chevy's naming conventions, the SS is always the souped-up performance version. That was even true back in the Camaro days. That will be an all-wheel drive configuration, $60,000 or just a little over $60,000 with a 303-mile range. If you buy the SS, you will get GM Super Cruise included in the price of the vehicle. If you buy the RS or the LT, well, then Super Cruise is gonna cost you $3,255, which is Super Cruise is their autonomous driving features, if you're not aware. No NACS port at this time. And since we're talking about GM and LG Solutions have a joint venture called Ultium Cells, and they will be integrating production lines at its Spring Hill, Tennessee plant to build LFP battery cells. The reason why they're building LFP cells here in the US is it comes down to saving money. They don't have to pay tariffs, or they won't have to pay as much in tariffs. In addition to that, it's cheaper to produce LFP cells than it is to produce, like, nickel manganese cobalt cells, for instance. Now, elsewhere in the United States, GM and LG, the Ultium Cells joint venture, will be building a manganese-rich plant, which we talked about manganese-rich chemistry not that long ago. The LFP production lines should be up sometime at the end of 2027. It just gives you an idea of how long it takes to put all this stuff into place. I didn't know this, but Ultium Cells supplies batteries to not only GM, but also Hyundai, Kia, Toyota, Rivian, and then some other companies as well. So, uh, GM is definitely going hog wild on the EVs for sure. Like, when Ford announced the F-150 Lightning, I think I've talked about this. When Ford announced the Lightning and the Mach-E, it didn't really seem like GM was serious about EVs at all. And now GM's got all of these EV brands, and Ford's, really got three. They have the Lightning, they have the Mach-E, and the E-Transit van. I don't think anything in the Lincoln line is fully electric. I could be wrong on that. All right, our final story in our EV segment is all about whole home batteries. EcoFlow announced the Ocean Pro Solar Whole Home Battery backup battery. So if you decide to dip your toe in and just buy one of these batteries, then that will give you 10 kilowatt hours of capacity, but that you can add an additional 80 kilowatt hours of capacity simply by adding modules. So this is not the EcoFlow batteries that are portable. This is attached to your house. So this is like a whole home battery specifically for your home. You will get 24 kilowatts of continuous output with the ability to surge up to 50 kilowatts, which one of the articles I was reading stated, I think it was like a 5-ton air conditioner. It'll run a 5-ton air conditioner, no problem. And that surge, when that air conditioner kicks on, there is a surge, so the battery pack should be able to handle that surge, no problem. In addition to the air conditioning, you'll also be able to run EV chargers, kitchen appliances, and all the other stuff that you plug into the wall as live your life. Now, the you can hook this battery pack into a solar array, right? That's on your house, and it said on their video that it will hook into up to 100 solar panels, which is or 40 kilowatts of solar input, which is that's a lot. That's a lot. I don't know if 100 solar panels would get you 40 kilowatts. I have not done the math on that. I think there are people out there who could. Steve Sheraton, just as an example, I think would probably be able to easily figure this out. I'm just going based on EcoFlow's website and their video that they made, which is terrible, by the way. You shouldn't watch their video. It's awful. But anyway, if for some reason you need to, you can use the grid to charge the battery, and you can also use a gas generator as well. So lots of different ways to power your battery, just in case. Now, if you live in a place where you can participate in the virtual power plant programs where you sell energy back to the grid, you can make a little money that way. It's also AI power. It's let's see. Let's use the marketing. AI powered energy optimization to learn your habits, forecast solar production, and adjust to the time of use plans. So the biggest thing for me here is here in Arizona, we have time of use plans, and during the summertime, it's quite expensive, but you have to run the air conditioner. You can't just get away from it. In the wintertime, we have time of use plans then too, but the times change, and you can work around it pretty easily. You just don't run the dryer during those times, pretty much. Here, you can't not run the air conditioner, so it would be nice to have a battery that was smart enough to know, hey, you know what? We're going to run this off the battery for the next 4 hours or 5 hours, whatever the time of use is. Uh, oh, this is a really good. It operates in temperatures ranging from -4 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And sorry about that. I didn't convert that to Celsius. All right. I stopped the recording and I converted it to Celsius. So -4 degrees Fahrenheit is going to be about -20 degrees Celsius, and 140 degrees Fahrenheit will be 60 degrees Celsius. So it operates in some pretty extreme conditions. Obviously, if you live in Canada or Alaska, or during some parts of the winter in the Northeast or anywhere in the North, -4, it's going to get colder than -4 degrees Fahrenheit for sure. But for most places, most of the time, I think it'll be okay. Fortunately, here in Phoenix, we have not reached 140 degrees quite yet. Give it a year or two, we might be there. But it's got a wide range of operating temperature. It's also flood resistant. And one of the articles I was reading was saying that it was made with LFP batteries and it's safe enough to have inside your house. I wouldn't do that myself. It does come with a 15-year warranty, but overall, I think this is a pretty good offering by EcoFlow. And I'm looking at going to CES next year, and I'm definitely going to make sure to talk to the EcoFlow folks to get more information as these things start trickling out and people start buying them and installing them. We don't have an exact price because EcoFlow said that they're selling these through to like independent installers, and then those installers are doing a little markup and then, charging you to install them on your house. So from one of the articles that I read said you can look at about $10,000 to start. So I don't think that's actually too bad, but it's $10,000 to start plus the install. And depending on how much your installer wants to charge you, it could get expensive. All right, everybody, that is our EV news. If you want to support this show, like I said, I'm planning on going back to CES this year. It's not exactly cheap. Last year when I went to CES, it was about $700 just for 2 nights at the hotel. That did not include food, which I didn't pay. It did not. One meal, one breakfast, I got away with under $25. Everything else is quite expensive, over $30, and that's not even including alcohol. That's just food per meal. So it's not cheap. Anyway, the whole point is if you contribute to this show, all of the money goes back into making the show better. And one of the ways that you're making the show better is allowing me to go to CES and to interact with people I wouldn't normally have the opportunity to interact with. So if you go to supportkilowatt.com, you'll be given two choices: Supercast or Patreon. Whichever one works best for you. It's still only $1 if you wanna be a part of the show. So I don't put a minimum there. It's $1. Well, I guess I do. I put a minimum of $1. If you wanna give more, you can. If you just wanna give $1, you can. All right, that was pretty long. Let's move on to our Tesla news. The Tesla Diner slash Supercharger. The Tesla Diner slash Supercharger is nearly finished, and from the pictures that I've seen, it looks really cool. The next time I'm in LA, I'm going to try to eat there. Now, I don't go to LA very often, so I'm going to put a caveat on this, is I'm not a fan of LA traffic. So it can't be more than 30 minutes from where I would be staying. And I'm guessing it would be more, even if I was parked, or even if I was staying fairly close, it's still probably more than 30 minutes. But if I happen to come across it in my travelings about LA, I'm definitely going to stop and have a Impossible Burger because I don't eat beef. Okay. What else here? Tesla is raising the Robotaxi fare. So it was originally $4.20 or $4.20. It is now $6.90 or 69. In another immature move, Tesla is expanding service in Austin, and on the surface, that doesn't seem immature at all. But if you look at the service area on a map, it outlines a male appendage. So, you know, I love that Tesla is cheeky and does fun things, but this kind of thing can turn off a whole group of people. So I don't know why. On some level, right? I get why Elon does this, but on a completely different level, it really pleases Elon's most hardened fans. Other people that I know in my life, this is a big turnoff. I know plenty of people who do not like Elon or Tesla, and this isn't helping the case for them to like the company or to use the service. So yeah. Anywho, the Model Y is now being sold in India. Now, this is a big milestone for Tesla. Unfortunately, there's tariffs. So the rear-wheel drive version of the Model Y starts at around 70,000 US dollars. Trying to do the conversion for rupees, I just didn't. But the long range rear wheel drive version starts at 79,000 US dollars. So it's very pricey. There's not a lot of folks in the US that can afford that kind of vehicle, and there's not a lot of folks in India that can afford it either. Not to say there's nobody in India that can afford it, obviously, but yeah, prices are very high because of tariffs. Not US tariffs, although there's probably something, reciprocal tariffs in the tariff fight between our government and India's government. But India is setting those tariffs and fees that Tesla's going to have to pay, which ultimately the fine folks of India will have to pay if they want one of those vehicles. Now, if tariffs go down, then the prices should go down. Let's see. Oh, Tesla sales in Europe have obviously been down. Now, that's not everywhere in Europe. Some places in Europe, like Sweden and France, sales are up for Tesla. Not to say that Tesla's, killing it in those countries, but sales are up for them. Sweden, I think they're killing it. Norway, I think they're killing it as well. But overall, when you look at the continent of Europe, sales are down. So Tesla may offer full self-driving transfers in Europe as a way to get Europeans to buy a new car. So if you don't know, full self-driving in Europe, and Bart Busschots has talked about this. By the way, you should go listen to the new Let's Talk Apple. It's really good. But full self-driving in Europe is more like enhanced autopilot. It's not as full featured as the service that we have here in North America. There's some things that Tesla has to overcome in terms of regulation there. I don't know if the regulators in Europe were just like, yeah, go nuts, if we would still be feature parity in Europe and the United States. But as it is right now, the folks bought their Tesla hoping that they would have full self-driving, and in the end, they have enhanced autopilot. Now, I don't know exactly what the price of full self-driving goes for in different European countries or Europe in general, but I would imagine it's still quite high. You know, even if it's $5,000 and you're paying $5,000 for an enhanced autopilot and you're expecting to get what we have here in the US, that's probably too much. So Elon actually posted on X in reply to somebody. Somebody said, "Hey, you know, can we get full self-driving transfer here in Europe?" And Elon posted, "Yeah, that's probably the fair thing to do." And I agree with him. That is the fair thing to do for sure. Now, another thing that Elon posted on X is he said, "Just left the Tesla design studio. Most epic demo ever by the end of the year." When I read this headline, the first thought that came to mind is I've been promised things before and had my heart broken, so I don't believe anything that Elon says when, especially on X, when he posts it. Um, Not to say that he doesn't. I'm not talking about his intentions. I'm just saying it usually falls flat of what expectations are. Um, and I think Tesla does amazing things, don't get me wrong. I just think Elon overhypes, and when you actually get the actual product or service, it's a little underdelivered. So, in to to kind of, prove my point here, Electric, which is the article I pulled this from, they had the same thought. They're like, "We've had our hearts broken before when it comes to Elon promises," and they posted something Elon said in 2016, which was, "Our goal is," and this is Elon talking, "Our goal is, and I feel pretty good about this goal, that we'll be able to do a demonstration drive of full autonomy all the way from LA to New York by the end of the year." That was in 2016. Still have not gotten that demonstration drive. Now, you could maybe argue that Tesla would have to have regulatory approval in every state. But I would argue that if you have somebody sitting in the the front seat of the car, you could still do it. But and they haven't. So, um, will this demonstration that Tesla has planned for us be amazing? Probably be really cool. Um, but I just don't want to get my hopes up. But now that we've said that, it's 2025, right? We have robotaxis, we have cybercab, we have the new Model Y, the new Model 3, updated Model S, I'm sure an updated Model X. We have the Tesla Semi. What are we missing? The Tesla Roadster. So will the demo, as some have speculated, be a Tesla Roadster that hovers? Or will it just be a Tesla Roadster, you know, that people can buy but doesn't hover? um, We'll see. We'll see. It could be some other unannounced product, excuse me, feature or service as well. I just thought, yeah, thought that was interesting. Again, I've had my heart broken too many times, Tesla. All right. On July 12th, Tesla started rolling out a new software update. And there's some fun stuff in this update. Like if you are lucky enough to have a Tesla that has accent lights, like the Model 3 and the Model Y, the updated versions of those cars, you can sync the accent lights to your music, which I think that's pretty cool and fun. You can also change audio settings and save them to profiles. So if I like my music bassy and my wife doesn't like it so bassy, she can go in there and she can set the EQ up the way she likes it, and I can set up the way I like it, and depending on who's driving the car, it changes. I think that's actually very thoughtful. Another thing, and we kinda teased this in an earlier episode, another thing is there's gonna be a Grok, integration, and integration is probably a strong word. Grok will be available in the car. Um, so if you don't know, Grok is xAI's version of ChatGPT, or if you're not a fan of OpenAI and ChatGPT, it is xAI's version of Gemini or, Claude or whatever. So I mentioned that integration was a stretch, right? If you want to ask Grok a question, for instance, you want to know some information on World War II and maybe the Germans, or you need a virtual girlfriend, you can have Grok do those things for you in the car. But if you want Grok to turn up the heat by 2 degrees or play the Kilowatt podcast, it can't do that. The integration is basically the same service that you would have on your phone or computer, just in your car. You'd be able to hit a button and ask Grok a question, but you wouldn't be able to have it interface with your car's actual functions at all. So if you wanted it to launch Netflix, it's not going to do that. If you want it to turn off your headlights, it's not going to do any of that stuff, lock your doors, that kind of thing. So this is a start. I would imagine that Grok will find its way into the internal workings of the Tesla before too long. But as of right now, it's pretty limited to just being your chatbot friend. Um, and then last week, I need to make a correction because last week I mentioned that if you wanted to use Grok in your car, you would have to have not only a Tesla premium connectivity subscription, but you would also have to have an XAI or a X subscription for that to work. That is not the case. So it sounds like XAI will just work in your car. I also mentioned last episode that more than likely there would be a proposal put forth by Elon for Tesla to buy XAI, which they would get X, the company, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, in that deal as well. Elon has confirmed this in a post on X. There's a lot of X's. It makes it hard to cover this, so many X's. But anyway, yeah, so that's confirmed. So my guess here, and I'm only guessing and speculating, but my guess is right now they're going to keep them separated. And then when the proposal comes around, they'll use this as hey, wouldn't this be a great thing that we can integrate Grok into your car and it will do all these amazing things. And it may or may not end up doing those things, to be honest. All right. My throat is getting dry and I didn't bring water in here and I've been talking for nearly 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and call it here. I hope you all enjoyed this episode and yeah, I should talk to you. I'll probably talk to you on Friday, if not Friday, Saturday. But in any case, I hope you all have a wonderful week and I will talk to you soon.